For nearly 2 decades, the al-Asad airbase has stood as a symbol of American military presence in Iraq, a sprawling complex of runways, hangars, and fortified bunkers. At its peak, the base housed thousands of U.S. troops, aircraft, and support personnel, forming one of the largest operational hubs for American forces in the Middle East. From this base, missions were launched, intelligence operations coordinated, and partnerships with Iraqi forces strengthened. The departure of troops marks not only a logistical transition but a historic moment, closing a chapter that has defined U.S. engagement in Iraq for years. Inside the fortified walls of al-Asad, life was a balance of discipline, operational readiness, and resilience. Soldiers woke to the roar of jets, the hum of generators, and the constant rhythm of daily military life. The base was a city in itself, complete with medical facilities, command centers, dining halls, and training grounds. Every corner of al-Asad carried the imprint of decades of military planning, a testimony to the enduring presence of American forces in a foreign land. The decision to fully depart was the culmination of strategic planning, evolving U.S. military objectives, and ongoing negotiations with Iraqi authorities. Behind the headlines, careful coordination ensured that withdrawal would not compromise security, logistics, or the stability of local forces. Every vehicle moved, every piece of equipment packed, and every final patrol executed was part of a carefully orchestrated plan. For the troops, this departure was more than a mission. It was a reflection of years of service, sacrifice, and commitment to a volatile region. As soldiers prepared for departure, there was a palpable sense of history in the making. Tents were dismantled, hangars emptied, and vehicles convoyed off the base. Aircraft that had once carried troops into combat were parked or redeployed. The roar of engines, once constant, now diminished as planes took their final sorties. Every action underscored the gravity of the moment. A U.S. military presence that had defined al-Asad for years was now being handed over entirely to Iraqi authorities or relocated to other operational theaters. The human aspect of the departure cannot be overstated. Troops who had spent months, sometimes years, stationed at al-Asad developed bonds with colleagues, interpreters, and local personnel. Friendships forged in the heat of operational pressure, the shared challenges of harsh desert conditions, and the ever-present awareness of threats created a unique camaraderie. For many, leaving the base meant leaving behind not only a strategic asset, but a home away from home, a place where lives were saved, missions executed, and history witnessed firsthand. From a tactical standpoint, the withdrawal required meticulous planning. U.S. forces conducted final inspections of facilities, ensuring that sensitive equipment and intelligence materials were properly secured. Ammunition depots were accounted for, communication systems dismantled or transferred, and all operational protocols documented. The goal was to leave behind a base that could continue to serve Iraqi forces effectively while mitigating any security risks associated with an abrupt departure. The departure also reflects broader strategic recalibrations in the region. U.S. military operations in Iraq have evolved from large-scale occupation and combat missions to advisory roles, intelligence sharing, and support for local security forces. Al-Asad had been central to both offensive and defensive operations over the years, from supporting counterterrorism missions against ISIS to providing humanitarian aid in volatile regions. Its handover signifies a shift in American military focus, emphasizing flexibility, regional alliances, and the projection of air power without a permanent ground presence. For the Iraqi authorities assuming responsibility, the arrival of full control brings both opportunity and responsibility. Infrastructure, maintenance, and the continuation of operational readiness now fall to local forces. Training programs and advisory support remain critical, ensuring that the capabilities developed over years of partnership are preserved. The transition is a tangible example of cooperation between the U.S. and Iraq, built on trust, mutual objectives, and shared history in maintaining regional stability. Within the military ranks, the departure was marked by ceremonial gestures. Flags were lowered, final formations conducted, and official handovers documented. Military historians and senior officers observed these moments, understanding the symbolic weight of the withdrawal. Al-Asad had been a base of operations, a sanctuary in conflict, and now it was becoming a milestone in the evolving narrative of U.S.-Iraq relations. Soldiers participating in the ceremonies were acutely aware that they were not simply closing a base. They were part of a broader story of international military engagement and strategic transition. Every day leading up to the final departure involved coordination across multiple units. Logistics teams ensuring that vehicles and equipment were transported safely, communications units decommissioning sensitive networks, and security teams maintaining the perimeter during transitional operations. Helicopters shuttled personnel and supplies, convoys moved heavy machinery, and air support was on standby, demonstrating the meticulous orchestration required for such a withdrawal. The psychological dimension of departure was equally significant. For many soldiers, leaving al-Asad was bittersweet. They reflected on operations that had shaped their careers, friendships that had endured hardship, and missions that had tested their resolve. The base, once a stage for operational command, now became a repository of memories, a place where history had been made daily. Departing troops carried with them lessons learned in leadership, resilience, and the complexities of modern warfare. Outside the base, local Iraqi communities observed the transition with a mixture of curiosity, apprehension, and hope. For decades, al-Asad had been a visible representation of foreign military presence, and its full handover signaled both change and continuity. Iraqi forces assuming control faced the challenge of maintaining security and order while addressing the needs of nearby communities. The coordination with U.S. advisory teams ensured that institutional knowledge, operational expertise, and maintenance procedures were effectively transferred, minimizing disruptions to ongoing missions. The departure also carried symbolic significance in terms of American foreign policy. It reflected a broader effort to recalibrate the U.S. presence in the Middle East, balancing national security interests with strategic partnerships. While the physical footprint at al-Asad would diminish, the U.S. commitment to regional stability remained steadfast, now manifesting through targeted operations, intelligence sharing, and strategic alliances with local military forces. As the last vehicles exited the gates, the desert air filled with the echoes of engines fading into the horizon. Soldiers looked back one final time, acknowledging the weight of their service and the history they had helped shape. Al-Asad Air Base, once a hub of American military activity, stood ready for a new chapter under Iraqi stewardship. The departure marked the end of an era, but also the continuation of a partnership built on experience, trust, and shared objectives. The final days at al-Asad Air Base were a whirlwind of coordination, reflection, and precise execution. Every soldier, every vehicle, and every piece of equipment played a role in ensuring that the withdrawal proceeded safely and systematically. Convoys moved in calculated sequences, armored vehicles were prepared for transport, and helicopters shuttled personnel across the sprawling desert compound. Each movement was choreographed with military precision, reflecting decades of training and operational expertise. The scale of this departure underscored not just the size of the base, but the complexity inherent in disengaging a long-term military presence. Within the operations center, commanders monitored every aspect of the withdrawal. Real-time communications connected teams across the base, ensuring that each task, from packing essential supplies to securing sensitive equipment, was completed without error. Logistics officers coordinated with aviation units to transport vehicles and materials, while intelligence officers verified that classified information remained secure. In every corner of al-Asad, from the hangars to the barracks, soldiers followed strict checklists, a testament to the U.S. military's commitment to order and accountability. For the personnel involved, leaving the base was a deeply personal experience. Many had lived at al-Asad for months or years, enduring the harsh Iraqi climate, operational challenges, and the stresses of life in a deployed environment. Their routines had been defined by the rhythm of the base: morning roll calls, training exercises, patrols, and mission planning. The departure forced a pause, a moment to reflect on the friendships forged, the missions accomplished, and the sacrifices made. The base was more than a military installation. It was a temporary home, a place where camaraderie and resilience were tested daily. The psychological dimension of the withdrawal was evident in every detail. Soldiers carried the weight of leaving a mission incomplete or handing over responsibilities to Iraqi forces who would assume full control. Mentors and leaders emphasized preparation, ensuring that every Iraqi unit receiving oversight had the knowledge, training, and tools necessary to maintain operational integrity. For the departing U.S. troops, this transition was both a relief and a responsibility, marking the end of their tenure but reinforcing the importance of continuity and partnership. Aircraft operations at al-Asad also played a crucial role in the departure. Helicopters transported supplies and personnel, while F-16s and other aircraft performed final sorties to reposition equipment and maintain airspace security. Every flight was carefully logged, every mission coordinated to prevent congestion and ensure safety. Pilots who had flown countless missions from al-Asad reflected on the significance of these final flights. Not combat missions, but missions of closure, precision, and duty. As the U.S. forces vacated the airfield, the Iraqi military prepared to assume responsibility for every operational aspect of the base. Maintenance teams inspected runways, hangars, and support structures to ensure continuity. Communication systems, essential for coordination, were tested and integrated into Iraqi command protocols. Ammunition depots were cataloged, storage secured, and safety procedures reinforced. The transfer was not merely symbolic. It was a technical, tactical, and operational handover, requiring careful attention to detail and strict adherence to established military standards. Throughout the departure, security remained paramount. Even in the final stages, patrols continued, checkpoints were maintained, and surveillance systems monitored activity. Soldiers ensured that the perimeter was secure, preventing unauthorized access and safeguarding both personnel and equipment. The transition exemplified the military's focus on risk management, demonstrating that even a withdrawal must maintain vigilance, discipline, and operational readiness. For the local Iraqi community, the departure carried layered significance. Al-Asad had been a dominant presence, shaping local economies, infrastructure, and daily life. The handover represented a shift in authority, responsibility, and local engagement. Iraqi forces now faced the challenge of maintaining both security and operational effectiveness, while also fostering positive relationships with nearby communities. Collaboration with U.S. advisors ensured a smooth transition, blending experience, training, and cultural understanding to sustain stability in the region. The symbolic weight of the withdrawal was underscored by ceremonial actions at the base. Flags were lowered, official handovers conducted, and photographs documented the moment for posterity. Military leaders recognized the historical significance. Al-Asad had been a pillar of American operations in Iraq, supporting combat missions, humanitarian assistance, and coalition coordination. Its closure as a U.S. base marked the end of an era while signaling a new phase of regional security managed by Iraqi forces. Operational continuity was maintained through an extensive transition plan. Iraqi forces assumed responsibility for daily base operations, supported by U.S. advisors in the background. Training programs continued, focusing on technical skills, communications, and logistics. This approach ensured that lessons learned over nearly 2 decades of partnership were preserved, enabling Iraqi personnel to operate independently while maintaining the highest standards of military readiness. Throughout the withdrawal, discipline, focus, and teamwork defined every action. Soldiers executed final inspections, decommissioned sensitive systems, and prepared vehicles for transport with meticulous attention. Convoys moved in precise formations, coordinated through detailed timelines, demonstrating the organizational rigor that has characterized U.S. military operations for decades. The entire process reflected a dual commitment, completing the mission safely while upholding the legacy of the United States Air Force and Army at al-Asad. As the last helicopters lifted off and the final convoys departed, a quiet moment settled over the base. The sound of engines faded into the desert horizon, leaving only the vast expanse of sand, sky, and reinforced runways. Soldiers took a final look back, acknowledging both the magnitude of their work and the friendships forged under extraordinary circumstances. The departure of U.S. forces did not erase the impact of their presence. It marked a continuation of strategic partnerships, operational expertise, and shared history that would endure beyond the final gate. The handover of al-Asad Air Base also reflects broader geopolitical considerations. U.S. military strategy in the Middle East has shifted toward agility, intelligence-driven operations, and regional partnerships rather than permanent occupation. This transition demonstrates the ability to project power, support allies, and maintain security while adapting to changing circumstances. The departure of troops from al-Asad is a tactical adjustment, an operational milestone, and a symbol of evolving American engagement in Iraq. From a historical perspective, al-Asad stands as a testament to decades of military cooperation, coalition building, and operational achievement. It has supported combat missions, provided humanitarian aid, and served as a hub for intelligence and training. Its legacy will be remembered, not only for the strategic objectives it enabled, but for the countless individual acts of dedication, courage, and professionalism by the U.S. troops who called it home. In conclusion, the full departure of U.S. forces from al-Asad Air Base is a moment of reflection, achievement, and transition. It encapsulates the complexities of modern military operations, logistical planning, operational execution, human endurance, and strategic foresight. It underscores the value of partnerships, the importance of preparation, and the enduring impact of disciplined, professional military service. For the troops leaving the base, the departure is a culmination of years of service. For Iraq, it represents sovereignty, responsibility, and the continuation of a partnership forged in decades of shared history. And for observers around the world, it serves as a reminder of the intricate balance between power, diplomacy, and the human elements that shape the story of modern warfare.